And I'm live. This is your boy Internal Sadist. This water's for you. But today's topic is basically the all men are trash girls for all intents and purposes. This podcast is basically revolving around Tomi Lahren. I should have did it last night, but a nigga didn't feel like it, so I went the fuck to sleep. So what, nigga? What? And nigga didn't feel like it, so he put out the Tren. He put out the Tren Labs news. I put out the Tren Labs news article yesterday, which is actually pretty okay. If you watched it, which is actually pretty nice, definitely go check it out. But this is basically about women who basically say all men are trash. And the sad part about that, a lot of men in the manosphere actually approached it the wrong way, which is actually pretty sad because I actually made a video about these type of women not too long ago. I literally made a video about women like this not too long ago. Not even fucking 6 months ago, barely. And the sad part about that is what's up, Win? The sad part about that is the women who fall into this category are the women who tend to I refer to as womenist. This is where the term womenist actually comes into play when it comes to people like Tomi Lahren. I call them womenist. The reason why I call them womenist, there's a definition in the fucking description box if y'all missed it from the last video. But and there's also a link to the last video in the description box too below. But what happens is a womanist is basically a woman is okay. Let me be technical about it and be more professional. A womanist, the definition of a womanist is a right-leaning, sexually frustrated with TradCon values and feminist undertones. That's basically a womanist. That's basically what a womanist is. So yes, Tomi Lahren is a fucking feminist. Is a womanist, basically. Am I shocked that she made the comments she did? No. I've already warned y'all about womanists. The sad part about that is, if you actually listen to me or listen to any of the fucking videos I said about the fucking the Latin manosphere, that's all we fucking talk about is we're against traditionalism. You're against feminism. We're against traditionalism. This is technically what I'm talking about for the longest fucking time. Apparently, everybody in America is like shocked that a fucking TradCon says some shit like this. We're not. We talk about this all the fucking time in the Latin manosphere. We're against traditionalism. You're against feminism. Only thing different is that's why I refer to the women, the traditional women in America, as womanists, because that's basically what the fuck they are. And it's sad. It's very sad. It's like, dude, how are you fucking shocked by this in the least bit? Like, I've seen this fucking coming. Like, are you fucking high or stupid? Like, oh my God, Tomi Lahren said this. She's starting to show her feminist. No, she's a fucking womanist. She's always been a fucking womanist. She's never really been a full TradCon. She's a fucking womanist. That's basically a TradCon. That's basically a woman who's a TradCon with TradCon values and feminist undertones. That's all it the fuck is. Who's sexually frustrated too. That's technically all it the fuck is. Y'all want to act shocked like, oh my God. Like, I made a video about her. Like, I said she bangs niggas. She's getting her back blown out by niggas. This is the reason why the alt-right, dumped her on her ass and is against her. Like, do y'all niggas not pay attention to shit? Do y'all niggas not pay attention to shit? And it's just shit like this that just blows my mind when I hear people in the manosphere get bent out of shape or try to sensationalize some shit like they're the fucking news, when in fact it's not even all that sensitive. It's not even need to be sensationalized. You're making a big deal out of fucking nothing that I've already explained 6 months ago. And the sad part about that, if you were listening before that, I talked about the fact that the Latin MGTOW manosphere is against traditionalism and y'all are against feminism. There's a reasoning for that. She's the fucking reason why we're against traditionalism. Hello, bitches. Pay attention. That's the problem that I have with a lot of motherfuckers in the manosphere, because they don't pay attention to shit. You got motherfuckers out here telling you, from me to Sweet Padre to everybody else, that partake in a Latin manosphere that go from English speaking to Latin manosphere. That Latin manosphere is against traditionalism. Tomi Lahren is the prime reason why the Latin American MGTOWs and red pillars are against fucking traditionalism, because she's a fucking womanist. What you think I just came up with that term out of no fucking where? No, that's an actual fucking term. She's a fucking womanist. Get over it. Move on. The sad part about that, then you got motherfuckers saying, well, she's acting like a chameleon. No, she was never acting like a fucking chameleon. She's acting exactly how she was supposed to be acting because she's a fucking womanist. She's not a fucking chameleon. She's always had those undertones. Y'all are just now fucking paying attention because she made us a brief video about some shit. So y'all just now paying attention now when y'all should have been paying attention to her in the beginning. This is exactly how a lot of y'all niggas in the English-speaking manosphere got y'all dumbasses into the fucking mess y'all got yourself into in the first fucking place. And that's the fucking problem right there. Y'all don't pay attention to the shit. Y'all pay attention after the shit breaks down, or after the shit, gets bent out of shape. I said she was from the get-go. I said she was when I said the alt-right dumped her on her ass several fucking videos ago last year. I already said she was. I'm not shocked by this, the whole entire thing. What I am shocked by is y'all dumb motherfuckers who think that this is something that just came out of nowhere, or y'all trying to sensationalize it like it's some new thing. It is what it is. Quit acting fucking shocked and quit trying to sensationalize every fucking thing. It's not that fucking serious. A nigga done already put you onto this heifer a long time ago. Now y'all want to act shocked like, oh my God, this is a sensational story. No, the fuck is not. No, the fuck is not. Grow the fuck up. That's the problem that I have with a lot of people in the manosphere. They always want to sensationalize some shit that you already talked about 6 months to a year ago. I was already dropping knowledge on this bitch 6 months to a year ago. There's a reason why I made that video about the Latin manosphere is against traditionalism while y'all are against feminism. There's a reasoning for that. Y'all niggas obviously don't pay attention to shit. That's y'all fucking problem. This is how y'all end up in relationships and y'all end up fucking divorce rate, because y'all don't pay attention to shit. And I hate to be savage like that, but y'all don't pay attention to shit. This is exactly how you end up in a relationship you do, and you end up divorced, and now you're trying to fight for your fucking kids. Because you date bitches like this. Because all y'all motherfuckers, I'm willing to bet, dated a fucking womanist. Before the Spanish-speaking manosphere even popped on the scene to y'all, or came on y'all radar, y'all were dating womenist. It's pretty much what it is. Y'all were dating womenist. And the sad part about that is, y'all didn't realize it because she was looking like Susie Homemaker, and she had a nice ass and some tits, and her skin was a nice complexion, and you loved her dearly. That's typically the shit that you got yourself into. Do I feel bad for y'all? You're a man, so I really don't. You should be able to make better decisions. What's up, black pill, red pill philosophy? And this is the problem that I have with a lot of the English-speaking people in the manosphere. They always want to sensationalize shit when it comes to this. The sad part about that is this woman's always been like this from day one when I made a video about it, when I said the alt-right dumped her on her fucking ass because she's getting her back blown out by niggas. I said that already. Y'all all of a sudden y'all all of a sudden are shocked by her response and shit. And it is what it is. The sad part about that, they're not fake conservative women. They're conservative women. They're basically feminists. Here's how it works when it comes to it. Because I put the definition in the description box what a womanist is. Basically, a womanist is a right-leaning woman with TradCon values, who is sexually frustrated, and has basically some feminist undertones. That's typically all she really is. This is typically what we talk about in the Spanish manosphere all the fucking time. All the fucking time we talk about this in the Spanish manosphere. This is our talking points in the Spanish manosphere. So for y'all to be shocked, obviously either A, y'all don't pay attention to the Spanish manosphere, which I'm not shocked by because a lot of y'all don't really know Spanish, but that's cool. That's cool. I'm gonna actually catch y'all up on this shit. And two, a lot of y'all motherfuckers dated these bitches. A lot of y'all motherfuckers in the English manosphere dated these bitches. Y'all dated the English version of these bitches, basically, and y'all ended up in the situation that y'all was because y'all thought they wasn't feminist. Meanwhile, they was a womanist, and meanwhile, you got your ass taken to the cleaners. That's typically how that works. And the sad part about that is she's basically doing the same fucking thing we talk about the women in the Spanish manosphere doing. I'm not shocked by her this in the least bit. She's going to say shit like that. Whenever she gets sexually frustrated, that's her go-to response. She's sexually frustrated. Somebody needs to blow her fucking blackout. And maybe she wouldn't make shit like that for all intents and purposes. It is what it is. And it's the sad part. It is what it is. Somebody just needs to blow her fucking back out. Like I said, probably 400 videos ago. Somebody needs to blow her fucking back out and she'll be okay. That's typically how that works. Because she's basically reacting psychologically to being sexually frustrated. That's all it the fuck is. This is typically what all the womenist do. They basically are reacting to sexual frustration and are taking it out on all people. Just like feminists take all men are this, or all men are that, or all men are this, or men ain't shit, or men should die. This is basically the same damn battle cry, but only conservative. She's actually being at least conservative about the shit for all intents and purposes. When she said all men are trash, whereas all feminists would say all men need to die, or all men should be killed, or like my favorite one is that goofy bitch from that one TV show. How many men do we need to kill so they can stop raping women? Like, think about that shit. Now, if a man was to get on the TV show saying some shit like that, that man would be crucified. Let's just keep it 100. Let's just keep it 100. And the sad part about that is I kept on warning y'all about these conservative bitches, but obviously a lot of y'all weren't paying attention to these conservative bitches. Obviously 640 something people who watched that fucking video that's in the description box below obviously didn't pay attention to the whole fucking video. These bitches do exist. They're not chameleons. I've warned you about them. They're not fucking chameleons in the least bit. That's exactly how they act. Whenever they get a little sexually frustrated, they act out. That's all it the fuck is. Matter of fact, I talked about this when I talked about toys and women needing women. The whole entire market of body pillows is because of women. The whole entire market of toys, sexual toys and body pillows, is because of women. For the fact that they need a body pillow because they need that skin on skin contact. That's all it the fuck is. She needs her back blown out, and she needs her back blown out, and she needs to be held very, very close while you're blowing that back out. That's all it the fuck is. She's just actually frustrated right now. That's typically when you get these women that all men are trash. And it usually comes from women on the right. It always comes from women. For the most part, for all intents and purposes, when shit like that is said, it comes from women on the right. That's all it the fuck is. And the sad part about that is nobody pays attention to that. Everybody gets lost in the sauce on that, and all they see is a beautiful conservative woman on TV with conservative values, when in fact she's a womanist. She's a fucking womanist. There's a TradCon and then there's a womanist. They're on the same sides of the coin. It's basically what I talked about when I talked about women on each end of the spectrum in a one video, where I said you have women that are right center or left center. Then you have women that are far right and far left. Then you have very rarely do you see a woman up the middle. All intents purposes, you're basically dealing with somebody that's right. You're dealing with somebody that's on the right, basically, because she's not center. She's on the right, but she's more or less right. She's basically right center. For all intents and purposes, the best way I can describe it. She's right center. I said from the get-go, you don't want a right center woman. You want somebody that's going to be center, not right center. Because there's a lot of problems with right center women, because they're womenist for all intents and purposes. And the sad part about that is then they got the TradCon women, which is a very, very small pool of women anymore, because most of the women are right center for all intents and purposes. Not too many women on the right are actually TradCons anymore. They're just womenist for all intents and purposes. So right center women are womenist. End of fucking story. End of fucking story. No, let me rephrase that. Women far right women are womenist. Sorry about that. Shit. Far right women are womenist. The right center are actually TradCons. The left center are actually women The left center are actually women who actually believe that, you know, in some feminism and some other shit, and they basically have some feminist undertones also, but they want to be more like traditional women, but they're basically not traditional women because they're on the left and they tend to fuck up a lot. And those are the type of women that a lot of men get into relationships with, thinking that, oh, maybe I can change her, or maybe this, that, and the other. Then the sad part about that, you got the far left women, which are actually feminists. That's typically how it works. So you got far left feminist, left center, regular women with feminist undertones, center women, which is very few and far between, which very rarely exists, right center women, which are like the TradCons, and the fucking far right women who are womenist. So you got womenist on the far right, and you got feminists on the far left. That's typically how that fucking works. It is what it is. The sad part about that is, oh shit, that sucks, bro. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh shit. You could have told me that in Discord though. You have to put it out there on blast like that. Damn. Shit, that sucks. I send my condolences to Arpaz, man. Most definitely. That sucks. That sucks ass, man. Damn. That really does. Shit. She okay at least? Yeah, you basically got feminists on both sides. You really do. You got, like I said, you got womenist and you got feminist. Far right womenist, far right feminist. They're basically a bunch of TradCons. They're basically based on women that pose as TradCons with feminist undertones. That's all it the fuck is. They're womenist. I've referred to them as womenist for that reason, because at least they act the part and pretend to be the part up until they get sexually frustrated. When they get sexually frustrated, that's when they start acting out and acting a fool. When they get sexually frustrated, that's when they start cheating with the pool boy. It's typically how it works. Those are the type of bitches that be cheating with the pool boy, the fucking gardener, the fucking you name it, basically. The personal trainer. Whenever they get sexually frustrated, they fucking act out and they cheat on you, basically. They're fucking womenist. Yes, I said water. Yeah, a lot of men do simp. Yeah, true. I'll give you that. Yeah, she already snapped multiple times. That's the problem. She had a lot of micro outbursts that y'all missed, obviously. I'm not shocked that she actually did, because when she did, she did. But the sad part about that is she literally had a lot of micro outbursts before that. She literally had a lot of micro outbursts before that. So obviously y'all weren't paying attention to her micro outbursts, and y'all were paying attention to her body and how she looked. Obviously. Because I'm not shocked by this in the least bit, because I've seen this coming from this heifer. And what's up, all y'all? What's up, Greg Lopez? What's up, MGTOW in the Wind? What's up, Black Pill, Red Pill Philosophy? What's up, Casual Bachelor Channel? What's up, Sigma MGTOW? And whoever else is lurking in the background. And the sad part about that is a lot of these women, literally, are literally on the right. That's why I refer to them as womenist. That's because they're able to play the part, be Susie Homemaker, and whenever they get sexually frustrated, that's when they start acting a fool. It's typically they kind of remind me of black women. Only black women don't have to be sexually frustrated. They just have to be frustrated, period. And they be popping her neck and snapping her fingers, and they be talking shit all the damn time and acting a fool and acting all ratchet in public. That's technically a womanist. That's technically what a womanist does when she gets fucking sexually frustrated. She gets real ratchet. It is what it is. But the irony to it, though, is she at least stays somewhat conservative. If you look at her behavior and her mannerism, she tries to stay conservative while she does it. It's like she's like trying to. It's like a ratchet bitch trying to fight conservatism, because her conservative views, for all intents and purposes, is technically what it is. So it's a battle between her ratchetness and her conservative views. It's typically what it is. Because the sad part about that is, what a lot of people don't realize is, there's videos of this heifer in her car rapping to rap music, various rap music and rap songs and shit like that, acting ratchet as fuck in her fucking car. But y'all see her do this video, and all of a sudden y'all shocked by this, when this heifer was in her fucking car rapping to Jay-Z. She was rapping to fucking all these new age rappers with the mumble rappers to like all the rappers that be saying some ratchet shit, doing ratchet shit to women on the dance floor. It is what it is. It is what it is. And like, so I seen this. I pretty much knew this back when, because all those were little micro outbursts of who she actually is as a human being. It is what it is. But the sad part about that is y'all missed it. I will. I would definitely will. I definitely will. Yeah, and it's stuff like that it's stuff like that that just blows my mind when I hear men actually are shocked about women who literally already displayed in many videos on the internet that they have a ratchet side to them, especially because shit, there are right leaning women right now. It's kind of like the joke that I make. They don't say the N word in public. They don't say the N word in front of another black person, but if they're in their car and chicka what, nigga who, they basically say it in their car. They all say it in their fucking car. That's typically how it works. That's pretty much your womenist women for all intents and purposes. They use it when they're in their car rapping, unlike actual feminist women who actually just use it blatantly when they want to call somebody out and they get real cariny about the shit. And the sad part about that is women like this actually exist for a reason. So you can actually be reminded of what the fuck you're about to walk your ass into. Those are a lot of red flags. This is why she's not engaged or married. This is probably why she broke off her engagement with her fiance. Because I'm willing to bet any money. The reason why she broke off her engagement with her fiance is because that nigga wasn't doing it right. That nigga wasn't blowing at her back properly, and she got sexually frustrated. Because she broke off her engagement with her fiance for a reason. She was obviously sexually frustrated with his ass. Because the sad part about that, we always talk about looks and money. That nigga had looks and money, but apparently his dick game wasn't up. His dick game wasn't up to par, obviously, because she broke off the engagement with that nigga. That's technically how it works. So all this looks and money shit really don't mean a damn thing when a real woman needs a real good dick down. That's typically how it works. That's pretty much how it works. All right, see you, Sigma. The sad part about that is, like Big Town the Wind said, behind closed doors, there you go. It is what it is. Behind closed doors, she might be acting like she don't say the N-word, but the minute her favorite rap song come on, you best believe she's saying the N-word. I bet you any money she be singing Akaya, my back, my neck, my back, eat my pussy and my crack. I bet you that bitch be popping that in her fucking song, and I bet you any money she be popping that in her fucking car as she's driving to work. Bet any money, because she's just that type of woman. And the sad part about that, like I always say, rap music isn't marketed for really black people anymore. Most of the people who buy black rap music are white women on the conservative side of things. This is typically where your womenist women are. This is typically all the womenist women who buy rap music on the right hand side are all womenist women. It is what it is. So yeah, basically she is another Lauren Southers. Yeah. She's Lauren Southers, Georgia Free. The list goes on. The list goes on. It's technically all the same damn thing. The sad part about that is these women will get like that when they're sexually frustrated. These women will get like that when they hit a certain, either they'll get like this when they're sexually frustrated, or they'll get like this when they hit a certain barrier or hear something one too many times, and all of a sudden now they're upset. So they'll get like this when they're sexually frustrated, or they'll get like this when they hear something or see something, or they're not getting what they want, because they basically have that spoiled princess mentality for all intents and purposes. Like a good example, if you actually listen to her video, she talked about women that are in their early 20s. She basically badmouthed women that are in their early 20s. Basically, what happens with that is obviously there's men that's overlooking her for men in their 20s, women in their 20s. It's typically how it works. So that was a breaking point for her too. Like she's jealous of women that are younger than her. Obviously, that's no different than what we talk about with women single moms who raise daughters who are trying to compete with their fucking daughters. It is what it is. You got moms trying to compete with their fucking daughters. That's typically all it really is. Think of it like that. Only the fact of the matter, she doesn't have any children, but she's basically competing with the younger women like they're younger women, like they're her children, like any woman would if they were in a relation, if they were a single mother and they had a daughter, they would always compete with their fucking daughters. Look at it like that. And the sad part about that is, what's up, Mr. Forma? Mr. Forma in the house, Forma Force. Yeah, like you were saying, basically, she is what she is. What's up, Lord Sos? The sad part about that is that's the thing that blows. That's the thing that agitates me when it comes to people in the manosphere. I've made a video about this shit. I've talked about this shit. That video's in the low bar right now because I had to attach this shit so everybody won't be shocked. Like, oh my god, this is new. No, it's not new. I talked about this about 6 months ago. I've talked about this before that. I talked about this when it comes to the Spanish manosphere on why we have our stances in the Spanish manosphere and why we are different than you and why you are the same for all intents and purposes. We're against traditionalism. You're against feminism. You should probably listen to that video when I actually made that video, which I made that about like more than 6 months ago. There's a video where I actually talked about that, the difference between the manospheres, the English speaking and the Spanish speaking, and the SYSBM and ITMOR and all those ones. I've actually made a video about all those for all intents and purposes. And I broke down the Spanish manosphere and I broke down the English manosphere and I broke down why I actually enjoy the English speaking manosphere for that reason too, because even though it's not like the Spanish manosphere, but it's kind of enjoyable because like 1 minute y'all doing something else and the next minute y'all just doing whatever the fuck y'all want to do over here. Unlike the Spanish manosphere where it's like pretty uniformal. Both Red Pill and MGTOW are pretty uniformal. It's typically how it works. But yeah, it's just stuff like that. Well, the sad part about that, the funny thing about that is because they're TradCons, these women never even left church. So I'll give you a good example of that, casual bachelor. Think of it like this. Have you ever been to a black church? The women that be sitting there twerking in a fucking aisle, that's basically those women on the right. Think of it like that. They're still in church, they talk about praise God, and they sitting there fucking twerking. And dancing, doing a worm down the aisle, doing simple shit in the aisle, basically. So they actually do go to church. The sad part about that is they're all there to pretty much spice up church for all intents and purposes, if you know what I mean, casual bachelor. So technically, no, they didn't really. It's not the fact that they infiltrated church, it's the fact that they never left the church. They're still in the church. They're the goofy bitches that are doing the most off-the-wall shit. Or they're the goofy bitches that are sleeping with the pastor, the deacon, somebody else in another pew, It's just shit like that. That's technically what it is. Think of it like a black church or a Southern Baptist church where somebody's sleeping with somebody else's man or woman or wife for all intents and purposes. It's technically what it is. Or think of it like, the black church where like black women are sitting there talking about praise God as they're twerking in the pews. That's technically what these women are for all intents and purposes. The sad part about that is, yeah, yeah, and it's true. I said that already. Greg, I said that already. Like, obviously, TradCon women want to be dicked down properly. This is typically their talking points, but everybody always looks at, and nobody ever really approaches them because they look a certain way and they look all prim and proper. So they look intimidating and they don't want to be approached because they think they're out of their league. The sad part about that, women like that just want to be dicked down very good. It's kind of like the joke about in the black community. There ain't nothing. Well, that's actually the white community too. White women in a lot of these communities too. Nothing stronger than a broke nigga with D. That's a woman's weakness. A broke nigga with D, basically. It is what it is, and that goes for black men, Chinese men, Puerto Rican men. When I say nigga, that goes for any men across the board. If you're a broke nigga with D, you're pretty much in. A woman's willing to take care of your ass if you're broke. Real shit. You don't even have to be the best looking man. If you got fucking D, she'll pretty much take care of your ass. Hell, if your D's that good, she'll basically put your ass on house arrest so no other bitch could get your ass. That's typically how that works. Sad part about that, I was actually in a relationship with a woman after Mina that actually tried to put me on house arrest because she didn't want the dick leaving the house, basically. So she basically told me I didn't have to work, and I was like, you know what? No, I'm working. I'm going to go to work. I like working. I don't like sitting around doing nothing. And she got mad at me and, the whole 9 yards. And I'll basically make a video about that later for all intents and purposes, which is actually pretty funny. But yeah, typically women like that just want to be dicked down very good. That's all the fuck they want. They don't give a fuck what the fuck your financial background is. They want a good dicking down. It is what it is. Like these women aren't Karens. They basically are literally these are literally TradCons who just drop their conservative inhibitions to basically let you know that they want a good dicking down and they want to be dicked down every day whenever they want to be dicked down for all intents purposes, and they want that dick down to be happening quite regularly. That's all it the fuck is. That's all it the fuck is. This is basically those women that say all men are trash on the right. All men are trash on the right are basically women who want to be dicked down and are sexually frustrated with feminist undertones. The sad part about that is those feminist undertones actually come from them being sexually frustrated or not being happy with their life, or not being happy with their current partner, or not being happy with any fucking thing. Because, like I said, her fiance was very good looking and had money, but she still broke it off with that motherfucker. Obviously, his looks and his money didn't mean dick, because his dick obviously wasn't doing shit. You see what I'm saying? That's typically how that works. And the sad part about that is the black pillars will try to argue this shit. The emo black pillars will try to argue this shit and say, well, looks and money and status, bro. Well, no, because there's a lot of broke niggas with D that don't look that good that are dicking down women and are living off of women. These are the same motherfuckers that are driving around in her car, in her name, and doing all the shit in her vehicles and her shit in her house. And I talked about this in a video a long time ago where these are the same niggas who would play PlayStation and forget to go pick his girl up at work. Like you're driving around in her shit, and you can't even pick her up on time. It's typically what it's typically what it is. Those are those niggas I was talking about. Those are, let it be black, white, Chinese, Puerto Rican, or Asian. Those are those niggas I'm talking about. These are the niggas that live off of women, that don't work, play PlayStation all day, barely do any house cleaning, can barely come and pick her up on time, and he's dicking her down very nicely. They don't look all that good. They never look that good. That's the sad part. They never look that good. They never look attractive. And the sad part about that is we always try to paint it's looks, money, and status, bro, when in fact it's really not looks, money, and status. It's really not. It's really not. It's just a bunch of motherfuckers it's just a bunch of it's like these women are literally a bunch of women that are just acting out to their sexual fantasies on Facebook, on Snapchat, on live, on anything. They're basically just acting out on live for all intents and purposes, live in front of people. What's up, Hayden? I'm sorry I missed you, pimp. How all the trash doing today? He's an ass for that one. But yeah, that's typically how it works. Yeah. It's basically what it is. All women are always jealous of the younger versions of themselves. It's typically how it works. And the sad part about that is everybody gets caught up in the bullshit. Yeah, women always fight themselves. It's a never-ending battle when it comes to women. They always fight themselves. Shit. Half their arguments about the shit that they get into is always fighting somebody at work or fighting somebody doing something stupid. It is what it is. Witches on the rise. Yeah, well, yeah. He call them witches. I call them womenist. Everybody got their own little tweak for what they call them. It's technically what it is. It's pretty much what it is. TradCon women are either womenist or witches. You can call them whatever you want. Witches or womenist. They both start with a W. I don't really care. And it is what it is. And the sad part about that is we run into these problems with these women for this reason. Because the sad part about that is I'm not shocked that she acted out like this, because it's probably been a while since she's actually been dicked down very well. Women who typically act out like this that are TradCon women aren't getting dicked down properly and are frustrated about this shit. So not only is she frustrated about the shit, like a good example, she wouldn't even be online saying this shit if somebody just beat it up for the most part. Somebody just went to her house or took her to her house, choked her, pulled her hair, and just beat it up. She would never made that video. I'm willing to bet you any money, 100%, she would have never made that video if somebody was digging in that pussy. It's real shit. If somebody was digging in that fucking pussy, she would have never made that fucking video. She didn't even have to be in a relationship. All she needed to be is dick down very nicely, and she wouldn't even ever have made that video. It's typically how it works. Because the sad part about that is, with women like this, you don't even have to be in a relationship with them. You just got to dick them down regularly. You could be their side piece. You could be their main piece. You could be You could be, you know, that man that they happen to be seeing every now and again. As long as you're dicking them down right, they don't give a fuck if you're in a relationship or not. They won't even ask you, what are we? All they care about is their dick down. Because like I said, women basically need that skin-on-skin contact. No matter how many toys they got in the fucking drawer, like I said in my other video, no matter how many toys they got in the fucking drawer, women still need that skin-on-skin contact when it comes to, you know, feeling loved or feeling somewhat secure. They need to feel that skin-on-skin contact because that skin-on-skin contact makes them feel secure. It's technically what they talk about when you have a baby and you put them up against your skin, your pure skin, and they hear you lay their head on your chest and they hear your heartbeat. It's the same fucking thing. It's the same fucking thing for women. They need that skin-on-skin contact to feel secure. No matter, you could be having the crazy, most off-the-wall, chandelier swinging ass sex. She could damn near like break her neck. As long as she has that skin-on-skin contact, she don't give a fuck what the fuck you're doing to her body. You could tie her up by one breast and hang her from the ceiling, and as long as you banging her and you got that skin-on-skin contact and she's hanging about one breast, she don't give a fuck. She feels secure. That's typically how that works. That's typically all that really is. That skin-on-skin contact is needed by women. Women get frustrated about this shit. This is why the body pillow market is so fucking big. If you ever notice, you don't see too many men buying a body pillow, but you see a shit ton of women buying a body pillow. And it is what it is. And the sad part about that, if you ever go to a woman's house to knock it out, if you see a body pillow on her bed, you pretty much already know she's needing a good dicking down for all intents and purposes. Because a woman with a body pillow on her bed, she needs a good dicking down. That's if you're into that smash or dash shit or pump and dump shit, wherever you want to fucking call it. If you see a body pillow on her bed, she needs a good dicking down. That's all the fuck she needs is a good dicking down. And 9 times out of 10, if you do it right, she'll probably be calling you back more often to dick it down. And the sad part about that is, the funny thing about that, I always make jokes about this, is you can tell you're a nigga with good D because a bitch will travel 160 miles in a car to come get some D from you. It's just facts. A bitch will travel 160 miles in a car to come get some dick from you. It's happened to me multiple times. Trust me. Trust me. And the sad part about that is, you know you got good D. I made videos about this. You know you got good D when you leave a country, and by the time you land, there's a flight call for you to get on a flight going to Prague because a heifer done missed your dick so much she done bought you a plane ticket to come to Prague to come on to be her +1 at a fucking business gathering for all intents and purposes. You know you got good D when that happens. I'm just saying. That's typically how that works. Because the sad part about that is, a lot of women fall into this category, and a lot of women fall into this trap. Because they'll get a man with good money, good looks, and all this shit. Then they're mad because they're not getting the proper dicking down from this good man with good looks. It's typically what it is. That's all it really is. They're mad because the man with the good looks and the money aren't dicking them down properly. It's kind of like the joke that I made when I said about the Pookies and Ray Rays and the Guidos and Tonis. They're probably dicking down your girl better than you'll ever dick down your girl, for all intents and purposes. Pookies and Ray Rays and Guidos and Tonis, they're basically dicking down your girl properly. They're giving her that D that she needs for all intents and purposes. These are the motherfucking bad boys that get more D than Chad and Tyrone. Chad and Tyrone ain't got shit on these niggas. Tony and Guido are the white versions of Pookie and Ray Ray. I always talk about these niggas. These are the niggas that's really putting down the D. These are the motherfuckers that's really putting in the work. It is what it is. Well, the sad part about that is, even though the carousel's slowing down, I don't see her ever settling down. So the sad part about that is, even still, she'll take a good dicking down. And the sad part about that, I'm willing to bet you any fucking money, before she made that video, she got a trash ass nigga, she got a trash ass motherfucker in bed, and then she got a trash ass motherfucker in bed, and then she woke up the next day and she had to make that fucking video. I'm willing to bet any money that's pretty much what happened. She got a trash ass motherfucker in bed, and she made that video the next day. It's typically how it works. Because it'd be no different than if you have sex with a woman, after it's over, she's automatically calling her friends and telling her how it went down. That's basically what Tomi Lahren did on social media. She's basically letting all her girlfriends know it was bad. It was some bad D, basically. She got sold some bad D, basically. Be no different if you got sold some bad weed. She got sold some bad D. Nigga was pitching that shit, and he's hyping it all up, and it ended up being bad D. That's all it really is. That's all it was ever. That's all it ever was. And the sad part about that is people need to learn their. And the sad part about that is I don't even think she's really looking for a relationship at this point in time. First off, she's about 27-ish, going on 28-ish. And the sad part about that is she's basically having fun. I think she'll start looking for a relationship when she starts hitting 29-ish, 30-ish, for all intents and purposes. 29-ish, 30-ish, 40. I mean, 29-ish, 30-ish, 30-ish, 1. She'll start looking for an actual fucking relationship, which is sad, but it is what it is. Yeah, it's basically what it is. She basically got that bum D. She basically got that bum D, and she had to make a video about it. It'd be basically no different than a woman calling her best friends after she had sex with a man to let her know how it actually went. Same fucking difference. Only she's a social media personality, so she did it all. She put the person all over blast without saying his name all over blast, basically. So now that nigga, that nigga, even though she didn't put the nigga on blast, that nigga probably feels some type of way. I'm willing to bet any money that nigga felt some type of way because his dick wasn't shit for all intents and purposes. And it is what it is. Like, the sad part about that is she'll eventually settle down when I'm willing to bet any money when she starts hitting 29, 30, 31, she'll be looking to settle down. Right now, she's looking to have fun. I don't give a fuck what you got to say. I don't give a fuck what she's trying to portray out there. She's looking to have fun right now. And if she is looking to settle down, 9 times out of 10, she'll probably settle down with a good-looking guy with money, and she'll get her back broke out by, Tony Guido or Pookie and Ray Ray. I'm willing to bet any money that's what's going to happen with her. If she dates the good-looking man with the money, because 9 times out of 10 out of 10 times, the good-looking man with the money ain't really hitting all the spots. He ain't tickling shit, and he's really not doing shit. That's typically how that works. That's typically how that shit works. And the sad part about that is, yeah, they probably are Italian. That's the only one. That's the only names I could come up with that I could think that are white, that are the white versions of Pookie and Ray Ray. Yeah, basically that's what it is. That's pretty much what it is. And the sad part about that, I'm willing to bet any money when she actually made that video, multiple things happened. She was sexually frustrated because the person that she bought home with her or went home with wasn't hitting the spots. 1, 2, she's probably looking for a relationship, or she probably had an epiphany, or she probably had a little bit of a female midlife crisis where she actually looked at her eggs and looked at her life, and she realized that she wasn't settled down. 2, and 3, it basically all came out on social media for all intents and purposes. The sad part about that is the way she went about it and the way she did it was very conservative. No matter how you cut it, the way she still went about it was very conservative. The sad part about that is if you watch some black women, some black ratchet women doing it, they're not conservative in the least bit about it. They'll start putting motherfuckers on blast. They'll start telling your name or putting you out there saying that you was some weak motherfucker. You had weak D and shit like that. That's typically how it works when a woman puts you on blast. A ratchet woman from the left puts you on blast. What's up, Seeker? That's pretty much how it goes. She'll start putting you on blast. The sad part about that is Tomi Lahren didn't put him on blast. She basically just vented her frustration. And I think, like I said, I think 2 things were happening with her. 3 things actually, but 2 things mainly were happening with her. 1, she started looking at her fucking life and realized that she's not settled down yet. And 2, the motherfucker who dicked her down didn't do it properly. It's pretty much how it worked. Only thing different from her and the leftist is she didn't put the nigga on blast. Yeah, basically, and when I say nigga, I mean black, white, Chinese, Puerto Rican, Asian. It don't matter. In my eyes, you're all niggas to me. So, like I said, she basically conservatively put the nigga on blast, basically, in that video. The nigga didn't do it right, so she had to talk about it for all intents and purposes. It is what it is. I'm not shocked by her response in the least bit. I'm not shocked by the video she put out in the least bit. It is what it is. Mr. Foreman's a nut. But yeah, it's like, what's up, Seeker? But yeah, it's pretty much it is what it is. Like these are the type of women that you're going to run into. These are the type of women that a lot of the, sadly, these are the type of women that a small minority of the a decent minority of the MGTOW men on the English manosphere actually got into. These are the relations that these are relations of the women that they're in the relations that they got in with, basically. They act like TradCons, but they basically have feminist undertones, and they basically are willing to actually put you on blast. That's typically how it works. They're more conservative about it, and they won't fully put you on blast like a right center woman, for all intents and purposes, won't really put you on blast. They tend to be more conservative, and they tend to be more fair about shit. And they go, well, this, that, and the other. I'll just tell my girlfriends, and we'll talk about it between our two. Whereas women like this, far right women that are womenist, they tend to get on social media and tell you about yourself. Only thing about it is they don't use your name, and they don't really put you on 100% blast when they do it. Like Seeker says, dick status, obviously. The dick status was obviously on E. The dick status was obviously on E, for all intents and purposes. And the sad part about that is, when it comes down to it, the more your age gets, the sad part about that is, here's how I know that a good example of that is something else that she actually said in the video, because I was analyzing the video, is that she has standards. The neat thing about Tomi Lahren's standards is her standards are much different than a lot of other women's standards, for all intents and purposes. Her standards are actually much more attainable. The sad part about that, because like I said, like, there's a reason why the alt-right put her out on her ass and didn't want to roll with her no more, for all intents and purposes, because she was getting dicked down by niggas, which is neither here nor there, which is pretty much here, there, and everywhere. But but all technicality, Tomi Lahren's actual standards are actually obtainable by men, for all intents and purposes. Because the thing about Tomi Lahren is, all she really wants is a partner that has good D. That's about fucking it. She wants a stable partner who can keep on slinging that D. That's all she really wants. And the sad part about that is, you can tell if you actually look at her face when she's saying this shit. You can actually look in her eyes and tell this shit each time she talks about this shit. No, because far right women aren't the same as Middle Eastern women. Right center women are Far East women, or Middle East women, for all intents and purposes. That's pretty much what it is. Far right women are Middle Eastern women. It's typically what it is, because they're too far right not to be. I mean, they're too far right not to be. And the sad part about that is, most Muslim women are right center, for all intents and purposes. Most women, I've actually made a video about this when I talked about the different breakdowns in the different ethnic groups. Most Muslim women are right center. Like I was saying, black people are naturally right leaning, conservative, but they're so fucked up that they're on the left side, for all intents and purposes. And the sad part about that is, most black people end up being left center because of that shit, for all intents and purposes, because they're not really far leftist type people. So they end up being left center. It's pretty much what it is. And women like that are pretty much, that's because that's the type of women who get on social media and do that shit are far right women. Because you can't be right center and do some shit like that. You just can't. I mean, it's the same as the left, for all intents and purposes. The right mimics the left. Far right, far left. It is what it is. It is what it is. Far right, far left. They basically mimic each other. Only thing different is, the far right women are more conservative about the shit. The far left women are more liberal about the shit. So to let you know up front, it's typically how it works. It's the best way I can actually tell you. You give me answers on what, Mr. Forma? And the sad part about that is that's typically how that works. Yeah, and it's pretty much what it is. She's basically looking at her life, basically, and she realized that that dick that she got last night wasn't shit, and she's looking at her life at the same fucking time, and then she made that video. Because typically, I'm willing to bet what happened. The dick was poor, and she's looking at her life at the same damn time. It is what it is, and I laughed about that shit too when I actually seen the video. Because the sad part about far right women is they pretty much mimic their far left counterparts. It's typically how it works. The right center and the left center technically are about the same for all intents and purposes, or they pretty much mirror the same, but they have different ideologies and they have different ways of thinking. But the sad part about that, if you actually put right center and left center together, they technically make a complete circle. They're basically rooting the same damn things, but in a different manner or a different way for all intents and purposes. Left center women believe that right center women aren't doing enough or saying enough, when in fact they are. They're saying the exact same thing, but they're saying it more eloquently. Whereas the left center women, they say it more like with more oomph or more fight for all intents and purposes. So basically, left center and right center are basically saying the same damn things, but they're going one's a bit more rash about it, and where the other one's a bit more conservative about it. So when a left center woman actually hears a right center woman speak about the same damn thing, it sounds like she's trying to downplay it to her. It's technically how it sounds to her for all intents and purposes. That's pretty much how it works. And the sad part about that, it is what it is. She's actually far right. She is far right. That's where she pretty much cements herself, despite the fact that the alt-right, and this is why the alt-right's the alt-right. They're not really far right. They're alternative to the far right for all intents and purposes. They're not far right. So the alt-right's there. I would say if you actually had to look at the right spectrum, there would be center, right center, alt-right, far right. For all intents and purposes. That's pretty much how it would be. And then you have the moderate between the alt-right. You have the moderate between the alt-right and right center, which moderate usually means that they're center, but usually most moderate right-leaning people aren't really center. They tend to lean more towards either alt-right or far right for all intents and purposes. Moderate rights tend to either be between alt-right and right center, or they'll be between alt-right and far right for all intents and purposes. That's how they usually fluctuate. That's typically how that works too. And the sad part about that, yeah, that's actually pretty funny. The sad part about that is that's actually happening right now as we speak. Funny story. And the sad part about that is Muslim women for all intents and purposes are right center. Asian women are right center, unless you're in Japan. Well, no, the sad part, unless you're in Japan, then you tend to be more left center, especially if you participate in that lovely thing where you like having sex in public in Japan. You tend to be more left center. The sad part about that is these same women will go out and do that, then pretend like they didn't do that as they're coming into work all buttoned up and professional the next day. That's technically how they act and roll. And it's funny like that. That's technically how it works when it comes to people like that. Black people are generally right center, but because of the whole entire shift in politics and everybody getting stupid and not paying attention, they're more left center. But there are some right center black people, for all intents and purposes. That there are some right center black people that actually vote Democrat quite often, which is very sad. And the sad part about that is, the sad part about that, Joe Rogan is actually left. He's actually a left-leaning person. I think Steven Crowder is even left-leaning. Steven Crowder is. No, Steven Crowder is actually right-leaning. Jordan Peterson's is a traditionalist. Ben Shapiro is very traditional because he's Jewish, so he's going to be naturally traditionalism unless he's doing shit that we don't know about behind closed doors, which we don't need to know. but his sister tends to be more liberal than he is. If you ever seen pictures of his sister on the internet, his sister tends to be more liberal than he is. His sister would be more. His sister would actually be more on the lines of a Tomi Lahren or Georgia Free, Ben Shapiro's sister. Um, if not, she would be left leaning for all intents and purposes. She would be like, if she's not, if she doesn't fall into that category, she would either be over there with Big Red or Nita Sarkeesian and people like that for all intents and purposes. So she's going to fall into one of those two camps. I'm not 100% on where she actually falls at, but based on the fact that she actually uploaded those pictures and video, I'm going to say she's probably more liberal than right center. I mean, not right center. I mean far right for all intents and purposes. It's just shit like that. Let me see here. Let me read some of this shit. Yeah, and the sad part about that is the reason why they get labeled as far right. Basically, Yam made a video about this the other day. If you're very neutral like me, you can't. People get angry with you because you're not picking a side. It's typically how it works. People get very angry with you when you don't pick a side. It's typically how it works because you have to pick a side when in fact you really don't have to. Everybody gets caught up on what side we're on, what side of the fence we want to be on, or what we want to be, whose side we're taking. And the sad part about that, the minute you get caught up doing that, you actually start losing as a human being. It's pretty much, if you ever read the 48 Laws of Power, it's pretty much in that book. Never really take a side. Do what benefits you for all intents and purposes. If both sides can benefit you, do you. If they don't benefit you, then take up certain segments of them sides that they talk and work with certain segments of those sides that actually can benefit you. Because you never want to be on one side or the other. This is typically why I always say I'm a neutral party in anything for all intents and purposes. I will talk about everything, but I'm a neutral party in everything. So I hate everybody the same for all intents and purposes. I love everybody the same and I hate everybody the same. It's typically how it works. And the sad part about that, there always will be because they're men. And you got to figure, you also got to take consideration too. So all those people you just named are all men. Anything that the feminist deems as not on their side is far right. So look at the people who's branding them this, and look at the actual people yourself. The people who's branding them aren't really right in the head any damn way. And the people who they are versus who's branding them as this far right people. Like the people who are branding them like this aren't really all right in the head any damn way. It's typically what it is. That'd be like listening to a woman who you just watched kill her own baby and saying, I think baby should live. That's technically what that's like doing. A woman that brands them as far right would be like a woman who just murdered her own baby and then turned around and says, I'm pro-life. That's technically the type of person you're looking at when you hear somebody say some shit like that. They're not quite right in the head. How are you pro-life when I just watch you murder your baby? That's typically how that works. That's typically the type of people who are branding these people this way. I mean, granted, they're all for abortions and shit like that, but at the end of the day, mentally, on a mental level, when you look at them, women who call all these men far right are the same type of women who could sit here and literally murder their own baby and then says, I'm all for pro-choice. After you just watch them murder their baby, they're for pro-choice. I mean, pro-life. They're pro-lifers after they just sat there and murdered their baby. They're pro-lifers. That's the type of women that you're dealing with on the left. They're mentally off. They're mentally unstable. So they'll never listen to the shit that they actually say for the fact that they're mentally off any fucking way. They're mentally defective. Anything they fucking say is mentally defective. If you're far left, they're mentally defective. It is what it is. They'll say a lot of stupid shit. It's kind of like how they let them get away with shit on TV. Like I was talking about the Muslim woman who was CBS, Australia, just let her say the heinous shit on TV. And you know damn well if you're a man, you were saying this shit on TV, you'd be crucified in jail or under a jail, or you'd probably be lynched or stoned to death for all intents and purposes. It's technically how it works. And the sad part about that is, yeah, they're basically closet garden tools for all intents and purposes. All women are closet garden tools for all intents and purposes. If you want to get technical, all women are closet garden tools. Yes, I'm glad we're using that term, and I'm glad we're using that term. Well, the media is going to call Joe Rogan far right. It's the media. They're far left. Like, think about that. Think about the people who saying this. Think about their mentality and how they're actually labeling things. It is what it is. They ain't got no fucking sense in the first damn place. That'd be like me listening to Lazo teaching me how to drive. He's only 6. What do I need Lazo to teach me how to drive for? Like, he don't know how to drive. Why am I gonna listen to Lazo about teaching me how to drive when he's 6? That's technically what the left is actually. That's technically what the media is actually doing. They're basically a bunch of 6-year-olds trying to teach you how to drive. Think about that. Think about it like that. If you want to actually think about the media, the left-leaning media, all the left-leaning George Soros, whatever the fuck you want to call them, media, they're all basically a bunch of 6-year-olds trying to teach you how to drive. That's pretty much all it is. Like, think of them like that. All the left-leaning media is a bunch of 6-year-olds trying to tell you how to drive and trying to tell you how to drive properly. That's technically all they really are. Yeah, basically. Yeah, true. Yeah, and it is what it is. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah, they are far left. While listening to somebody far left, that's going to tell you somebody who actually is left leaning is far right. It makes no sense to me because in all technicality, despite the fact that I'm actually smack dab in the middle, I'm a libertarian. People on the far left would tell you that I'm actually far right. Hell, I've been called a white supremacist. And if you actually see my intros, you would know I'm not white. So think about the logic that's coming. Think about the logic and the psychology that's coming with the people who are actually saying this shit. If I could be called a white supremacist or an alt-righter for all intents and purposes, think about that shit. Casual Bachelor, think about that shit very clearly. I got called an alt-righter, a white supremacist, and I got told that I'm far right. Now, if you see my intro, you know damn well I'm not white. You know damn well I'm not in the alt-right. And you know damn well I'm not far right because I'm pretty much up the middle when it comes to every fucking thing. I'm pretty much it is what it is. What's up, double I? I'm pretty much up the middle when it comes to every damn thing, for all intents and purposes. I tend to stay out of shit and I tend to stay to myself for all intents and purposes. Up until I do a live stream or do a video, I tend to stay to myself. It's typically how it works. I basically was raised in a family that are all like libertarians for all intents and purposes. My family, the family that I was born and raised into, that's that are all libertarians. So that's typically how I was raised. I was raised up the middle. I was raised to view everybody and weigh the pros and cons for both sides and pick accordingly for all intents and purposes. That's basically how my grandmother raised me and my granddad raised me. That's technically how my whole entire family, dad's side, were raised. We're raised as libertarians for all intents and purposes. Um, yeah, they can't debate shit to save their life. They couldn't debate their way out of a wet paper bag for all intents and purposes. Because the sad part about that, I talked about this with the whole entire feelings thing. When I said about the in this landscape, feelings matter more, and the reason why feelings matter more is for this point because they can't argue any fucking points. So therefore, we have to yield to their fucking feelings. This is why feelings win over facts in this day and age and in this landscape because they can't argue shit to save their fucking life. So they go to feelings. So when they go to feelings, we have to yield to their fucking feelings. And what was the word? What was the words that AOC used? The dumbass words that AOC used. You have to be not sympathetic. What was it? Um. something about morals or some shit like that. She said some stupid shit when it comes to feelings. She basically tried to equate somebody's feelings to morals. Basically, I forget the actual saying. Somebody can actually put it in the comment section. I'll be happy to highlight it. But she said some stupid shit when she was trying to equate feelings to morals for all intents and purposes. And somebody said it in the last live stream, but I can't remember what the fuck it was. But yeah, it is not the last live stream, the last stream before. Well, yeah, last stream before last. And and the sad part about that is when it comes down to it, they can't argue to save their lives, so we have to worry about their feelings now. And the sad part about it's kind of like this. Think of it like this: the facts versus feeling things would be like women versus men. There's a reason. It's now work. Now listen to me. Now follow my logic real quick. Follow my logic for me, because I know all y'all like. Wait a minute, how does that work? Facts versus feelings is basically like women versus men in a society. Here's what I mean by that. Facts versus feelings. Okay, y'all all know facts versus feelings. Facts don't care about feelings. Cool. We all know that. However, in a society, it's basically like women versus men, where women can get on TV and say some outlandish shit that would be considered as a terroristic threat towards men and get away with it and everybody laugh and giggle about the shit. Now, if a man got on TV and said some shit like that, we'd be trying to crucify that man. That's technically what facts versus feelings actually is. This is why feelings actually trump facts in this landscape in this day and age, because most of media in this day and age is left-leaning. Most of the media that you get and consume is left-leaning. There's probably only one media outlet that's fucking right-leaning, where the rest of them are fucking left-leaning. All a billion other of them are left-leaning. You see what I'm saying? So in all technicality, facts versus feelings is the same on the same visceral level as fucking women versus men in this day and age. Women can say man or mansplaining and people will giggle and say and agree with them. Or they can say shit like that goofy Muslim woman, Mona bitch said on live TV, how many men do we have to murder until they stop raping women? Wait, what bitch? What? That's typically the same thing with facts versus feelings. That's pretty much how it works. That's pretty much how all it is in a nutshell. Facts versus feelings is like women versus men in this day and age. And the sad part about that is, if you really want to get visceral, because I really didn't want to do this, in all technicality, and I hate to have to do it this way, but I'm trying to get you to understand where I'm coming from when it comes to facts versus feelings. Facts versus feelings will be equivalent to far leftists bashing white men. There, I said it. Far leftists bashing white men. Let's just say white men are facts, far leftists are feelings. Now, how many white men can actually say some shit without being berated, decapitated, or destroyed, or canceled, and any other thing that comes with that whole entire territory of being a white man? Think about that. You're basically the facts, and they're basically the feelings. The far left is the feelings. White men are the facts. I'm not saying that no other group of people don't bring facts. I'm basically trying to break it down to you on a visceral level. That's all I'm trying to do, is break it down to you on a visceral level. White men are facts. Far left is feelings. That's technically what it is. This is why you're getting everybody. This is why Joe Rogan, Ben Shapiro, me, myself, can be called far right or alt right or fucking white supremacists, or Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, and all these people, because what they're actually saying goes against their narrative, so that makes them alt right, or that makes them fucking white supremacists or far right. It's typically how it works. The sad part about that, I've already established that the alt right is technically not far right. They're technically just past right center or moderate right, for all intents and purposes. That's all it really is. That's all it really is. And the sad part about that is that's all it is. You're right. It's all about information control. Because the sad part about that, if I was to beat a woman in a debate, they would say I attacked her, brute. They would make it sound like I viciously stabbed her and like, you know, murdered a woman on TV. Literally, if I was to beat a woman in a debate. That's typically how that works. So listening to the left about shit is like you pretty much know my personality. You pretty much know my temperament. I don't hit women for all intents and purposes. And last I checked, I've never actually put my hands on a woman, and I never cut a woman for all intents and purposes. I usually get another woman to handle that for me for all intents and purposes. Or I'll usually text my grandmother, and she'll send another woman to handle that for me. That's typically how that works when it comes down to it. Or if I'm in a relationship, my significant other will handle it for me. You see what I'm saying? So the sad part about that is if somebody says I did something wrong and I never cop to it, I didn't do anything wrong. They're just basically trying to assassinate my character. It's typically how it works. That's basically how you have to view the left. If they said Tico ran out and like killed like 77 people for no fucking reason whatsoever, and he decapitated a fucking a left-leaning senator, you as people who follow me would know that, okay, first off, that's bullshit. Because first off, for Tico to decapitate you, he has to have a reason to decapitate you. And for him to kill 55 people and not talk about it, obviously that's bullshit. It's technically how that works. So I want you to view the same way you view me when I always spit facts and people always say, well, Tico this, Tico that, Tico that. And you come back, well, Tico was right. So there's not very much we can do about it. Tico was right the whole entire time. Technically, anytime somebody actually tries to levy shit against me, it never sticks for the reason that they're coming off of feelings, or their feelings are hurt, or they're hurt because I didn't side with them, or they're hurt for any fucking reason because I just don't care. And I'm not going to take no sides, and I'm not willing to jump in the middle of a fire unless shit hits the fan. Now, if shit hits the fan, don't be shocked when you see me with the guns and the knives, because shit hit the fan for all technical purposes. If shit hits the fan, I'm there. If something bothers me personally, or somebody comes at me, attacks me personally, then shit hits the fan. Then I'll I'll react to it for all intents and purposes. However, at the end of the day, I'm not going to just do something all because. I'm not going to do something all because, you know, all because just because. There's always a reasoning for why I do something. There's always a reasoning for why I pick apart somebody. There's always a line of reasoning behind anything I fucking do. There's a reasoning behind it. You may not understand it at the time, but when the smoke clears, you'll go, oh, I got you, Tico. I understand where we were going with this shit. That's typically how it works. There's always a reasoning behind the shit that I do. There's always a line of reasoning behind the shit that I do. You might be confused at the time when I'm doing it, like, oh my God, what the fuck? Tico's going on this person. What the fuck is Tico doing? There's a line of reasoning for it. There's a line of reasoning for it. So at the end of the day, this is typically what you're dealing with when it comes to people. This is technically all you're really dealing with when it comes down to it. Like Seeker said, facts versus feeling is basically the gender war. Is equal to the gender war. Yes, he said it more eloquent than I did, basically. So pretty much that's what it is. That's all it really is, and that's all it would ever be. Because at the end of the day, if you ever notice, they don't really try to silence, black men too much, or minority men too much. If you ever notice, it's always white men that they fuck with for all intents and purposes. And when they do fuck with a black man, it always seems to backfire in their face. If you've ever noticed, for somehow, some way, that shit always backfires in their fucking face. If you've ever noticed that shit. So they tend to try to leave black men alone, but they always fuck with white men because they're easier targets, because everybody views, because of how the left views and perceives everybody, and the social media perceives everybody, white men are the it people right now, which is sad. And the sad part about that is, it is what it is. At the end of the day, because of how the left views white men, it's always going to be that way. That's basically all it really is when it comes to facts versus feelings. It's the left and the left-leaning media versus white men. Think of it like that. That's the most elegant way I could possibly put it when it comes down to it. That's the most elegant, visceral way I can possibly put it. So when people always try to, because you notice, like, the name of the people that you just listed on there, where the fuck is it at? Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder, all those people, if you notice, none of those people are white. If you've ever noticed that, I mean, all those people are white. None of those people are black. or minorities for all intents and purposes. All those men are white for all intents and purposes, according to the census and how the United States pretty much marks up shit. It is what it is. So they're picking on those people for a reason, because they can and they can get away with it. That's the only reason why they're picking on those people the most, because they can get away with it. They can't really get away with picking on a nigga because that will fuck up their whole entire narrative and make them look like a bunch of racists. It's pretty much what it is. That would make them look like a bunch of racists. This is why I made a joke about the whole entire Union College. Was it Union College? The white women at Union College wanted to be able to identify as black. Like, think about that shit. Think about that shit. So if they want to identify as black, there's a reason why they want to identify as black, because black men keep stomping the shit out of them for all intents and purposes in any and every argument. This is why they want to identify as black, because black men, you can't really overcome a black man without looking like you're racist if you can't identify as black. It's typically how it works. This college literally was taking a vote on this and having a petition for white women on the leftist side to identify as black. I shit you not. They literally took a vote on this. They're literally signed a petition for this shit, and they're literally passing the shit around so they gotta identify as black. Think about that shit. Think about the logic and the mentality behind this group of people. White women want to be able to identify as black at this college. Think about that shit, and then think about the left. These white women want to identify as black on the left. Like, think about that shit. Like, do you really think you're dealing with people that are rap tight? Like, think about that shit. Do they really sound rap tight to you? But I got so far off topic talking about this whole entire facts versus feeling and Ben Shapiro shit. At the end of the day, well, no, technically I didn't, because they would basically be center right or right center or moderate right for all intents and purposes. Yeah, racism is monetized now, most definitely. Racism's always been monetized for all intents and purposes, and it's sad. It's very sad. Yeah, and that's pretty much always going to be the record in the arguments, because apparently Christianity is a part of the patriarchy, despite the fact that Muslims and we don't hear them bashing Muslims or Jewish people, the Jewish faith or the Muslim faith. Like, I have yet to see a video where a white woman pushes a fucking rabbi or a fucking a Muslim off a fucking stage for all intents and purposes. You ever notice that? It's always like the pastor, the priest, the bishop, the deacon that's getting pushed off stage by these white women. You ever notice that? Like, they don't push a rabbi off the stage because that would look really bad, I guess. Despite the fact that most of these women on the left actually spell anti-Semitic more. They spell anti-Semitic shit more than the right does. But the sad part about that is they can do it, but you can't do it. If you've ever noticed that. They can do it, but you can't do it. And it's typically how it works. Yeah, like I said, they want to be able to identify as black because black men always stomp them. They want to be able to identify as black. Like they do this gender fluid bullshit, 23 fucking whatever the fuck they're called, pronoun type shit. Basically, now they want to be able to identify as black and add that to the whole entire thing, so they can be able to fight the whole entire black men patriarchy for all intents and purposes. This is the reason why they want to identify as black. They want to be able to fight the black men. They want to be able to fight the black men patriarchy for all intents and purposes by doing so. That's the only reason why they want to be able to identify as black. Because the sad part about that is the black male patriarchy still exists, despite the fact that even though they said the patriarchy is all white, apparently the blacks got a patriarchy too now. Which I wasn't aware of. I mean, granted, like a lot of conservative black men tend to be homebodies, go to work, come home, take care of their family, spend time with their children, this, that, and the other. Yeah, that I can understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, that's really not patriarchy. That's basically being a good father or a good parent for all intents and purposes. Just shit like that for all intents and purposes. Many. Yeah, you'll never see them pushing him off the damn stage. Just saying. You'll never see them pushing that man off a stage. And the sad part about you want to know the funny thing about that shit is these same fucking women will say Christianity is patriarchy. They'll fly their ass to the Middle East, and these bitches be wearing hijabs. You ever notice that shit? All these bitches be wearing hijabs. Like anytime you see these bitches in the Middle East, they're all wearing hijabs. But Christianity is patriarchy, okay? In all technicality, you're dealing with a religion that's more patriarchal than the fucking Christian religion. I'm just saying. I'm just fucking saying. Pick your battles wisely, ladies. Pick your battles wisely. Because at the end of the day, the reason why that is because here's how you know that women aren't stupid socially. Here's how you know women are socially smart. Because they know that they can't get away with shit like that in those countries because they would be either jailed, decapitated, stoned, or killed. It's just the facts. This is how you know women aren't socially stupid. This is how you know women are socially intelligent because they know they have to wear this shit over there because of that reasoning, for that line of reasoning. That's the reason why they go over to those countries and dress up in a hijab and act like they got some fucking sense because they know that the threat is real, that their life is gone for all intents and purposes. This is typically how this shit works. This is why I always say women are socially smart for this reason, because when they go to the Middle East, the first thing they do is find the nearest hijab spot, put a hijab on in the airport, and they go out into public. That's what they pretty much do. Because if you've ever seen any photos of them in the Middle East, that's what they're pretty much doing. If they're out in public, they got a hijab on. If they're in their hostel or their hotel, they're not wearing one. If you ever notice that shit? You ever notice that shit when it comes to women like that? They'll say patriarchy, 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 but they get to the Middle East and all of a sudden they're like, I'm doing it for the culture. Yay, culture. Okay, bitch. You're doing it because you're scared you're gonna fucking die. That's the only reason why you're fucking doing it. Don't act stupid and don't pretend like you're scared for your fucking life because you know socially you're smart, but you're playing dumb when you come to America. Because the sad part about that is women act stupid while they're in their Western worlds, but the minute they get outside their Western worlds, they act like the most socially intelligent people in the whole entire fucking world. They'll play dumb at home, but they'll act smart abroad. You see how it works? As long as they're not in a first world country, they'll act like they got some fucking sense. Is how it works. When the minute they get back to the first world country, they act a straight fucking fool. That's technically how that fucking works. And that pretty much ties into this whole entire thing with female behavior and shit like that, and the whole entire men are trash shit. Because the sad part about that, once you think about it, at the end of the fucking day, the men are trash thing is a first world country problem. It's a first world country problem that leaked into all the other countries. The sad part about that is all these other countries can't really get away with it because there are things in place to keep them from acting stupid for all intents and purposes. Like a good example that when I was telling people about the whole entire the feminist protest in Mexico, the Mexican government is smart enough to put female police on duty that day for that reason. So if the women get out of hand and they say men are this, men are that, or men are doing this, if they get out of hand and they start injuring police officers, they're injuring women. They're injuring fucking women. Mexico is very good at doing that shit and making them look fucking bad every year, time and time again. That's typically how that works. There's always things in place to make them look stupid and make them rethink the shit that they actually did. Because the sad part about that is it's very hard. It's very easy to say patriarchy, patriarchy, patriarchy. But when you start destroying shit and you realize that your sister's on the other side and you just do a Molotov cocktail at your fucking sister, it's very hard to really say that when you gotta apologize to your fucking sister. That's typically how that works in a lot of these countries. They're willing to throw other women in front of other women so they can make women look stupid. That's typically how a lot of these other countries work. If an uprising of women talk about we want equality, we want this, you best believe there's going to be a women police force to actually accommodate that, or a women military force that's actually going to accommodate that shit. Because at the end of the day, it's very hard to say men are the problem when in fact women are fucking up other women. You see what I'm saying? That's typically how a lot of these other countries deal with this shit. Unless you're in a Muslim country, then it's either stoning, beheading, jail, death. It's typically how it works. But the sad part about that the sad part about that is when it comes down to the patriarchy, there's no fucking such thing as a patriarchy. I don't give a fuck who says what says who, where says where, or who says what. It doesn't fucking matter. There's no such thing as patriarchy. It's society. It's basically, because the sad part about patriarchy, every single time people try to preach patriarchy is based on fucking religion. So there's no such thing as patriarchy because it's all religious text. Let it be Muslim, let it be Jewish, let it be Christian. It's all fucking Abrahamic text. That's basically the setup for religion. It has nothing to do with patriarchy. It has every thing to do with fucking religion. And that's all the fuck is. So there's no fucking thing as patriarchy. It's all about religion and respecting your God. That's all it the fuck is. Respect your respective God. That's all it the fuck is. So there's no such thing as patriarchy for that reason, for the fact that it's all about respecting your respective God and respecting your husband and respecting your family and respecting yourself. That's all it the fuck is. That's not patriarchy. That's religion. And that's teaching women to how to respect themselves, their family, and their husbands, and God. That's all it the fuck is. It's not patriarchy. It's fucking religion, bitches. The faster you figure this shit out, the better off you'll all be, and the better you'll snap out of your fucking retarded ass mindsets. Well, no. In a global sense, well, Sharia law isn't really. Sharia law is far right. For all intents, I mean, Sharia law, for all intents purposes, is far right. The sad part about that is it's not really far right for the fact that that's what they believe. It'd be no different if, good example of this is when it comes to culture. Let's just say this. Your family likes eating steak all the time. My family likes eating chicken all the time. I hate chicken. I don't even know why I'm using this analogy. Now, if you come to my house and you bring a steak, let me rephrase that. I just found a better one for this. Okay, cool. In my house, we don't eat beef. You eat beef. In your house, you want steak. We come to your house. You prepare steak. You're being disrespectful to us. Culturally, you're being disrespectful to my family because we don't eat beef. For all intents and purposes, you see where I'm going with this one? So technically, it's not really as much a far right thing as much as it's a cultural thing. I'm not, because I've always said this. I'll respect somebody culturally for all intents and purposes. If that's your cultural thing, that's your bag, you really believe it, and you're not just following, I'll support it 100%. You see what I'm saying? But the sad part about that is you can't make me eat something that my household doesn't eat because now you're being disrespectful to my household. Is the best way I could put that whole entire Sharia law thing. That's a cultural thing. That's their bag. As long as we ain't got to do it, that's their thing. Whatever they need to do to keep everybody in line, I really don't care what they do. I'm out of my business. That's their side of the gate. I'm on my side of the gate. You're on your side of the gate. Fuck what they got going on over there. That's typically how that works. So it would be no different, like I said, if you invited us over for dinner and my daughters don't eat beef and you made steak. My daughters are going to feel disrespected. For all intents and purposes, the best way I can pretty much, it's basically a cultural thing. If it's cultural, like I said, anything cultural, as long as you believe it wholeheartedly yourself, and you're not just being a follower, I support it. If it's cultural, I support it. That's typically how I feel about it. The sad part about that is some people believe that, some people don't. It's sad, but it's so true. Yeah, true. Yeah, pretty much. When it comes to that, whatever Double I was referring to somebody said, you like steak. I'm not a fan of steak, but I can understand where you're coming from with that one. You're probably just as much of a fan of steak as I am with lamb or goat. That's what I'm going to guess. So if it's lamb or your steak to you is basically lamb or goat to me, for all intents and purposes. Let's see. Yeah, that's true. You should treat people the way you want to be treated, for all intents and purposes. That's basic. That's literally basic shit. That's basically what you learn when you're a kid. The sad part about that, as adults, we get far away from that shit. We get very far away from that shit. And it's sad. It shouldn't be like that way, but we get very far away from that shit. Yeah, the natural order is real, but the sad part about that is it has nothing to do with patriarchy. It has everything to do with nature and religion. When it comes to human beings, it basically has more to do with religion than nature than for anything, because at the end of the day, you still need structure so you can get everybody to do what you need them to do for all intents and purposes. You still need that structure to get everybody to do what you need them to do and not act like the fool, because you need that structure for the morality purposes. Because the neat thing about morality is if everybody thinks something's morally wrong, they won't do it. If they think it's morally right, they'll participate in it. That's typically what structure actually does for people. If it's morally wrong, they won't participate in it. If it's morally right, they'll do it. It is what it is. Um, I like lamb too. Yeah, I kind of figured a lot of people actually like lamb, sadly, and that's pretty much what it is. It's like the natural order of things isn't really patriarchy. It's basically religion. Because the sad part about that, once you boil it down to its basis, this country was technically built on religion and some other values and a couple other things, but this country was basically built on religion and religiosity for all. Let me rephrase that: religiosity. So basically, this country was built on the tenets of religion. That's all it really was. And the sad part about that is the difference between the only thing that's the only thing that separates human beings from animals. Animals have a hierarchy, whereas humans have structure. Hierarchy, structure. Humans have structure. Animals have a hierarchy. Without that hierarchy, the whole entire animal kingdom falls the fuck apart. Without structure, the whole entire human race falls the fuck apart. That's typically how it works. Structure, hierarchy. Animals have hierarchy. Humans have structure. That's technically how that works. He said, "Lamb is so tender." Listen to y'all guys. Well, I'm about to end this anyway because it went on longer than it needed to go on, and yeah, I went an hour and 30 minutes. Holy shit, I went an hour and fucking 30 minutes. Fuck. But yeah, I'm in this last stream of this podcast. Y'all have a blessed day. Be good to yourselves. Treat yourselves like milk. Do not spoil yourselves. Be good to yourselves. This goes for men or women both. So I'm talking to men or women both. If you're a transgender, you can get it. You can pretty much feel this too. If you're gay or straight, whatever the hell, I don't care what your orientation is. I'm talking about all of y'all. Treat yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Do better by yourselves, and always think about yourselves and spoil yourselves. Treat yourselves like milk. Do not spoil yourselves. This goes for everybody across the board, no matter what your orientation is, your gender, your race, everything. Be good to yourselves. It's basically my message to you, and always improve yourselves. I'm out. Deuces. Sorry for keeping y'all hostage. I'm a helicopter Tico. I couldn't even end it. I was just about to hit the end button on that shit. It doesn't matter. Just better yourself as a helicopter. If you're just a regular helicopter, become an Apache. Oh God, Caswell Bachelor's a nut. I can't even end it on that note.